Jerk chicken is one of my family favorites. This recipe is packed with protein to help keep you feeling full and satisfied all evening long. We use a delicious marinade with fragrant herbs and spices that amps up the flavor and helps to reduce the sodium. Let's get to it. This is comfort food for me. I love that protein helps slow down the rate at which glucose absorbs into the bloodstream, so fewer blood sugar spikes. And it's an easy weeknight pick. We're going to start by pouring on the soy sauce. And I really like to build my own marinade, especially using soy sauce, because soy sauce has a really nice saltiness without having to add too much sodium to this recipe. So that's the benefit of being able to make our own marinade. Typically, store-bought marinades are gonna have lots of sugar, lots of oil, and lots of salt. We get to take all of those things out by building our own flavor profiles here. Then I'll add in some of the rest of our spices. So we'll add our oil, our allspice, our thyme, our cinnamon, our nutmeg, and these smell so good. I love all of this flavor together. Like, the combination of these is awesome. And then our paprika needs just a little help, so we'll scrape it out. And then we'll just give it a little whisk so we can make sure to get a little bit of all of the spices incorporated and distributed in here, so each piece of chicken gets some really good flavor. And when you first look at a recipe for jerk chicken, you're probably overwhelmed. You're like, whoa, that's a long list of ingredients, but I promise you they're all worth it and they all belong there. I'm gonna set this aside and we're going to work on our fruits and vegetables. So I'm starting with our citrus. I love the fresh squeezed juice in this recipe. It just brings a really nice flavor to the chicken. I'm just slicing each of my citrus in half. I always feel like squeezing your own citrus is an arm workout. You probably see me like shaking over here. I'm like, trying to get it in there. And I'm juicing mine, but if you are in a pinch and you wanna get this done quickly, just go ahead and get store-bought juice. It's just as good, perfectly fine. I always like to make sure that I get juice without any sugar added, just so I can watch that extra carb content. In goes our freshly squeezed juice. We'll pour it right over the top. And then we'll get started on our veggies. We're gonna start by chopping up our green onion. And I'm using both the green and the white parts of the onion. I'll gather these up and just scoop them into my marinade and spread them out. Next, we'll work on our white onion. I really appreciate learning how to make jerk chicken and it really being one of those staple recipes for me and my family. My family is Jamaican, and so jerk chicken is one of the many dishes that we have a ton. All right, my onions are chopped. So we'll also spread these out into the marinade. Whew. I'm gonna cry a little bit. My onions are stinging. All right, next we've got our habanero pepper, and Scotch bonnet peppers are actually the more authentic pepper that people use in jerk chicken, but they're hard to come by. So you can always use a habanero pepper. Those are much easier to find. And I'm just gonna chop this into little pieces. If you like heat, go ahead and leave the seeds in. If you are not a fan of heat and you want the chili without like the super hotness, go ahead and take your seeds out when you're chopping it. Next, we have our knob of ginger, and same thing as our other ingredients. We're just gonna give this a good rough chop. Skin on, you do not have to skin your ginger for this. And then last, my all-time favorite ingredient is garlic. I put garlic in everything savory. I just love it. Give our garlic a rough chop here, and we'll add it to the marinade. Now it's time to toss all of the ingredients together so we make sure that everything gets an even coating. Normally, we'd recommend chicken with the skin off so that you have less saturated fat in the recipe, but in this case, it's okay to leave the skin on. So now I'm going to cover this up and I will get it into the fridge. We'll let it marinate for 2 to 3 hours, or you can leave it in your fridge for 24 hours. It's just gonna build the flavors and make them even stronger and better.
And I'm going to preheat my oven to 475 degrees.
Normally my family would go for rice and beans for the side, but instead we're doing a flavorful slaw, and it's fresh and cuts down on the carbs. So we'll start with our slaw mix. This just comes in a bagged form from the store. I love this because it makes my life easier. I don't really have to worry about cutting up cabbage, steaming cabbage, just makes it super simple. I'll add in my vinegar, olive oil, some sugar, celery seed, a little kosher salt, and a few cracks of black pepper. Then we'll mix this up. I like to just use my hands. I've already got them in front of me, and I can make sure that the slaw gets thoroughly mixed with this little bit of dressing that I just put over it. Simple enough, this is done. So we're gonna pop it in the fridge until the chicken is ready and we're ready to plate. The chicken is done and I am so excited. It smells so good. So I'm gonna grab my heat safe gloves and get it out of the oven so that we can plate it and get it ready. Check it out. Our chicken is golden brown and delicious looking. I really can't wait to dig in. You can see those spices from the marinade on there, and then the color is just beautiful. It looks so good. And then our freshly tossed slaw, nice, colorful. It's gonna be crunchy and a great complement to our jerk chicken. Now it's time to give it a taste. I have been waiting for this. I'm so, so excited. I love the savory flavor of the drumsticks. You can really taste that soy sauce and like that little bit of saltiness, but it's not too salty. So that tastes great. And then all of those spices, and then the fresh ingredients in there with like the fruits and veggies that we put in, with the lime juice and the orange juice. Oh my gosh, it's so delicious. Pairing it with that slaw, that is like nice and crunchy, and that vinegar gives it like a really nice kind of like sourness. You get all these types of flavors, sweet, sour, salty. It's absolutely perfect. So I've got to eat more of this. It's really, really good.